Hey, I'm Adam Thompson. I'm a consultant in strategy, organisational design and leadership, and today I'm going to talk about the team leader role. Let's get right into it. First, let me define what I'm on about. When I'm talking about a team leader role, I am not talking about a managerial role.
Happy birthday to you.
But we get a lot of title confusion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define two separate roles. I'm going to call this first one the managerial role, and this is the role that takes full accountability for the work of the team. Then the other role we're going to talk about is the team leader role, and while this role has certain accountabilities, it is not ultimately accountable for the work of the team. Now, just to add to the fun of it, we'll see in a lot of organisations, the managerial role can actually be called sometimes the team leader role, and sometimes the team leader role is actually called team leader. Other times it's called supervisor, and back in the day, it used to be called, when things made a bit more sense, the leading hand. So what we're going to do is define exactly what we're on about with these roles and how you can set them up so that they actually work. So let's talk basics. Why do we need the managerial role? Because we need someone to be taking accountability for the work of the team. And to keep things fair, if we're giving someone accountability, we need to give them authority, which somewhat balances that accountability. And using the work of Elliot Jackson.
And this is not the way to run the world. Too many people's lives are affected.
Which a lot of the stuff I'm talking about today comes from. The authority we give the person in the managerial role is called VARI, which means that you allow the person in the managerial role to veto coming into the team that they believe can't do the work on fair grounds. They are the person that can assign, allocate, or agree, whatever you want to call it, the way the work gets done. They are the person that reviews the work of the team and the people to make sure it's up to standard, and they also have the authority to initiate removal from the role. Take note, it's initiate removal, not the final decision that they have to leave, but they can initiate the removal. If someone is going to be accountable for the work of the team, then they need the authority that balances that, and that is called VARI. How does that differ from the team leader role? Well, let's get clear on what we're saying the team leader role is accountable for. It's a bit different and it's a bit the same. While the accountability for the managerial role is work of the team, the accountability for the team leader role is similar, but it's for the work of the team that day, which means the difference is accountable managerial role the whole time, team leader is accountable during that day. In other words, during the shift, during the period of time the work is actually occurring.
Direct people where to go, getting people moving during the day, and so everyone knows what job they're meant to do in the morning, and just get things going.
But it's still an accountability. If the stuff isn't going right, their job's to step in and do something about it. So they do need certain authorities that go along with that. And the authority that goes along with that is, again, VARI, but with a different angle, because the only one they have that's similar to the manager is the A, because they can assign, allocate, or agree work during the period of the shift.
Direct people where to go.
So we're going to put that as D for decide during the period of the shift. Now, when it comes to the V, the R, and the I, though, it's a different type of authority. The authority here is to recommend. Think about how that works practically. If you're a manager of a team and you've got some great team leaders, you're going to ask them for their opinion on stuff. How do you think so-and-so is doing? Tell me what you think. Should we bring this person into the team? Do we really have a problem there? We're going to naturally be asking those questions. So we're essentially saying, what are your recommendations for doing it? This is the way we can get clear in terms of the technicalities on the difference between our managerial role and our team leader by being clear on the difference between the accountability and the difference between the authorities. Makes things make a lot more sense. How do we do this diagrammatically? First, now we're going to draw up our org chart. So what we're going to put here is our classic, there we go, there, and then we're going to have there, there, there. And what we've got written there, we've got our managerial role, whatever you're calling it. Remember, whatever you're calling it, managerial role, frontline worker, sitting there like that. Now, it's going to be tempting to draw up something that looks like this. And what you've now created there is the idea that as far as these people are concerned, that is the person in the managerial role. But that's not actually the case. This is causing confusion because what's going on here is we've got a different level of work, which I'll represent here, between the managerial roles and the work there. Remember, the team leader role is out there on the field making sure the stuff happens, what the manager needs to happen. So the level of work division occurs here. But what we've done is created reporting layers, which is going to add in confusion. So how do we draw it to make it look better? I'll just get rid of this, and we'll do this. So what we've set up there is we've got the managerial role and we've got the team leader role, but we've made it clear that everyone reports to that managerial role. In other words, the person who is ultimately accountable for your performance is made clear. But we are setting up the role relationships through our discussions of the stuff that was on the board earlier to say that the role of this person in the team is to provide the guidance, the leadership, and the issue resolution is required to get the work of the day to go. And you can see also on the diagram that we have acknowledged that the level of work happening here is slightly higher than there because by definition, when you are looking at how's the whole day's work going, as opposed to how's the task going in front of you, it's a longer time span, so it is a slightly higher level of work. It's not the same level of work as looking after 3 months to a year in terms of the work up here, but it is a higher level of work. Draw your diagrams like this. Instead of drawing them like that, you'll eliminate a lot of confusion, have the conversations about how the roles are supposed to work, and you'll eliminate a lot of the pain that occurs through the classic team leader role. That's all for now. I'll see you next time. Just sorting out my texters.